How can we have great conversations? I mean, really getting to know the person, in your opinion. And I'll go ahead
You have
and
to
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional. And JR, what you were talking about, I saw so much when I used to serve and bartend. You have people, married couples that sit across from each other, don't talk, they're on their phones. Or even when I go out to eat, you look over and there's no action at their table. They're literally just waiting for their food to come. I mean, you see it with all age groups. I can't really say it's a certain age group. And I think that that's because people aren't intentional about communicating. People aren't intentional about getting to know each other. I think the card games are beneficial because that's how you intentionally get to know someone. A lot of people are making these card games. Too Deep is one of the first card games that I saw that were intentional conversations where you're literally sitting across from one another and asking each other deep, thought provoking, probing questions. And there's dating, there's healing, there's different subjects, but you have to be intentional about that because that's where we lose the art of communication. That's where we lose the art of articulation. You lose it if you don't use it. And a lot of people really don't realize that because then when you come across a stumbling block, it's like, or you're assuming that the other person is going to say something or bring it up or, try to make amends. And you're both just sitting there waiting for each other instead of someone taking the intentionality out of communication and putting it in the forefront of your relationship. And I think a lot of times it's a double dutch, thing. Who's going to jump in? And you just have to take it. You have to be that person. And if you're the more communicative person, don't assume that the other person don't want to talk. Don't communicate. You just have to do it. You have to do it no matter how hard you think it is or if you're not doing it, you have to be intentional about it because it helps when the hard times come, everybody not sitting around tight-lipped. So I would say do it in a way of the card games or games, whether they're not card games or not, but where you're asking each other questions. Come up with questions on your own and your note and your notepad. I do that all the time. I'll come up with questions and I'll just put them in my notes because it's something that's important. It's something that should be communicated about. And if I don't communicate it, I have no one to blame but myself. I always say you miss 100%, or I was taught this in basketball. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I'm
You miss
sorry,
them.
Precious. Say that one more again.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And so if you're not going to
Clutch.
ask that question, if you're not going to be, intentional and curious, then you'll never know. And then your mind will run crazy with
Man.
false realities. And again, you have no one to blame but yourself. So you have to be intentional about these conversations.
All right, let me get Penny, Balance, and Luis in there.
I think I would say when you're out eating, don't ask personal questions. Don't go deep when you're eating. If you go out to eat, have fun, enjoy yourself, have light conversations. But I think those deep conversations, if you want to, set up time to have those deep conversations, because if you're getting to know someone, those questions can go way left and you're out. And I see a lot of couples when they are out and they are upset with each other and they're not looking at each other because they didn't had a conversation where they, went left and now they don't want to even talk to each other. So I say have those conversations at home or, create a dating space where it's just both of you guys together alone and you can have those deep conversations. And I think going into it, looking and thinking that everything is going to look the same. Because when you do have those deep conversations and you do find out that someone something that happens to someone or they've experienced something that you disagree with and you automatically write them off, that's kind of the reason why some people don't want to tell people their business, because they would rather keep that to themselves than have someone judge them for it. So I just think not jumping the gun and thinking that everything's going to look exactly how you want it to look, and really being open to understanding what that person past looks like. And if they do open up to you, be open for them to change and the time that it takes for them to change.
All right. Go ahead, Balance.
Can you hear me pretty good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was going to say communication and emotional intelligence are skills that you can develop. I've said this before, but I'm going to keep saying it because people just think people just know how to do things, especially if they haven't seen it growing up. They've never seen it in a healthy manner. They don't know what they're doing. So I don't think it's that they choose not to or they're refusing to. They don't know how. They've never seen it before, especially not in a healthy way. It's either it wasn't in their house at all or it was extremely unhealthy. Is no balance. That's it. So a lot of times, if you know how to do it, help somebody. Like it's not. I don't think it's as complicated as we're making it. And when it comes to dating, I'm a big fan of doing active things. I don't really like dinner dates and just sitting there eating, looking at each other all the time because you're eating. Your mouth is full. You can't really have a conversation in that atmosphere. It's just odd. Especially if music's going, the neighbor can hear what you're talking about and they can hear your childhood trauma and you don't want to talk about that. It's odd. So if you're going to talk about it, do an activity together, something. Go rock climbing. I don't care. Go hiking. Do something fun where you can walk and talk and get to know each other. And Penny, I actually think it's good to find out early if you can relate to this person, if you understand this person, if they're damaged. And that sounds so bad, but you know what? I'm gonna be honest. If this person is too damaged to even date right now, like they probably shouldn't be. And I think the sooner you find that out, the better. And then you can move on and let that person get their therapy and work on themselves and work on their self love and all those things. And you on to the next one. So that's how I feel about it.
Hey, Balance, you said that some people may not have grown up around it and seen it, don't know how to do it. What is something that you can give the people as to what they can do to learn how to start a conversation, to keep a conversation going, to go deep
Yeah,
with it?
so okay, with communication, I think that a lot of times there's always a misunderstanding because we communicate differently. We communicate the way our families taught us to, right? So you have to learn that person's communication style. And if you want to use YouTube, use it for things like that. Research communication styles. Research those things instead of Kiki Palmer. So I think people need to use their free time to actually learn something on YouTube and not just trying to entertain themselves all the time. Because even with emotional intelligence, there are thousands of videos on YouTube that can teach you emotional intelligence. Not only will it help you relate to people better, it'll help you at work, it'll help you communicate with your family, with your children. But we want to talk about Kiki Palmer. So I just wish people would take the time to educate yourself. Self-education is the best education. I say that all the time. I know Austin is an avid reader as well. So read a book. It's not even as complex as we make it. You know what I mean? So if we're doing those things and educating ourselves, then we could be the best partner for whoever we're dating, right?
You know what they say, but if you black folk, if you want to hire something, put in the book. All of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a,
Tell it now.
you know what they say about these Negroes. You want to hire something from the Negro,
Put it in a
put
book.
it in a book.